Aperture refers to the amount of light going through a lens. You can see some typical aperture settings known as f-stops. At f22, the aperture is closed right down, whereas at f1.8, it is wide open. Just like an eye at night, the pupil dilates to allow more light in and reduces in size when exposed to the sun to allow less light in. By opening or closing the aperture, not only affects the amount of light entering your camera, it also affects the depth of field. You'll notice in this image of Fatima, her left eye is in focus, but her right eye is slightly out of focus. Incidentally, the rule is to always ensure that the eyes are in focus. Other facial features such as the nose or chin is not such an issue whether they're blurred or not, but the eyes should always be in focus. In this case, only Fatima's left eye is in focus, and this is fine, but another rule is that if you are only focusing on one eye, the closest eye to the camera should always be the one in focus. Also remember, these rules can be broken. Her right eye is slightly out of focus, and then her headscarf gets blurrier towards the background, and the background is very blurry. This blur is known as bokeh, and is caused by using the aperture at a wide setting, and in this case it was at f1.8. I used a shutter speed of 1/160th of a second and an ISO of 200. We'll talk more about shutter speed and ISO in the next few videos. If I was to close down the aperture, that is increase the f-stop, more of Fatima's face and more of the background would become less blurry. You can see in this diagram that Fatima is at a slight angle to the camera. The distance from the lens to the background is the field, and the area between the two vertical red lines are what is in focus, or the depth of the field, known as depth of field. In this case, it is very narrow, as I was using a wide aperture of f1.8. As it is so narrow, the focus has to be very selective, as there is only a narrow area to focus on. Reducing the size of the aperture by selecting a higher f-stop will increase the depth of field. Now the area between the two vertical red lines has widened, increasing the depth of field and increasing the focus of that area. If I was photographing a landscape, I would want most of the image in focus, so I would increase my f-stop to ensure this happens. Remember this picture from several pages back? One of my comments on this image was to blur the background by using a lower f-stop to remove some of the distraction. This image was taken at f11. This image was taken at f4. Whilst the orange chairs in the background are somewhat distracting, the child still stands out from the background because it was shot using a shallow depth of field. Here are some further examples of a shallow depth of field. Let's look at shutter speed next.